All right, it's Spring Break Week live from Orlando, and here we are. Beautiful weather down here. I like hot 90s going today and then through the weekend, low to mid-90s. But for us at home, we're having a nice little warm-up as we get temperatures will go up into the 60s today, mid-60s tomorrow. Cooler and rain on Sunday and Monday, but then back up into the 60s, and who knows, by the end of next week, looks like maybe 70s. So springtime turnaround underway. In studio right now is Assemblywoman Claudia Tenney. Good morning, Claudia. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. I hope you're enjoying the nice hot weather. It's going to be in the 60s here today.
Yeah, and actually, I think I will enjoy mid-60s, to be honest.
Oh, it's too hot. Hey, can I say
I hate
happy
to complain.
birthday?
Yeah.
I want to say happy birthday to Pat Gubby Gubbins, who you mentioned earlier, and his daughter Lisa. Gubby is a retired Marine, and he's a big part of the Marine Corps League and goes to every veterans event. He's a great guy, involved in the American Legion. Just want to say happy birthday.
Well, he and his daughter have the same birthday. That's kind of a cool coincidence,
Yeah,
right?
that is kind of cool.
All right, so your opponent on the Republican side, primary coming up on June 28th, calling you out for a debate. This is odd. I was talking about it earlier. Normally it's you calling for the debate.
Well, I did. I've been calling for a debate since December.
Yeah. All right, so your thoughts, and will you debate? He wants to debate several times. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I've been asking for a debate since November, January. I think on your show even, I've always been enthusiastic about debates, and I'd love the opportunity to debate my opponents. And as you know, Richard Hanna didn't debate, and you discussed strategy, which I think is part of the reason that a lot of incumbents don't debate. But when I ran for assembly last time, my assembly opponent wouldn't debate me either. And I was the incumbent challenging him to debate, so it's a little odd. But yes, I think debates are very important, and I think they're very good for the public. I don't know where some of my opponents stand on issues right now. I mean, Steve Wells says, he's against ISIS and he supports guns, but other than that, he's got to come up with some issues we can debate. I think we can all kind of agree on those two issues. But I'd love to debate. I think 8 is kind of excessive for a district this size. The presidential debates, I think there were probably too many of them. But I think enough debates to really get at the issues. I'd love to discuss and talk with him about why he's a top 10 donor to Cuomo, and yet he's former finance chair for the state Republican Party apparatus, and then has millions in state contracts, and then says he's an outsider. I think the public needs to understand exactly what that's all about.
Can I just ask a quick question on the donations? I actually took a look at the list, and I know you sent out a release yesterday showing that he and/or his business, American Vending, had donated like $11,500 to the Cuomo campaign. I saw some donors on that list, several, upwards of $60,000, $50,000, $30,000. You stand by that number that he's a top 10 donor?
That's what it's listed as. He has a corporation. They list him in the type of entity he is. He claims that he didn't do it, his brother did it, but then he claims in all his commercials that he built the business and he runs it and he creates jobs. I don't know about you, but I'm a Republican and I run a manufacturing business. We're celebrating our 70th year. We don't have any contracts with the state or local governments or any governments. We're all private. We don't give money in huge sums to someone like Andrew Cuomo, for example. And I'm not against people giving money to politicians of both parties. People do it. The issue is that he gave huge amounts to Cuomo in 2015, especially after the election, and also has millions, and I stress millions, in state contracts with the state of New York. And so maybe there's no connection there, but it certainly looks...
Are you alleging a pay-for-play type thing, like the
it looks
corruption
like pay-for-play
that we saw with...
I don't know. I mean, it's not necessarily corruption as defined by the corruption statutes, but pay-to-play is exactly what we're all fighting. You've got a guy who's on the Republican Party. He's in the state finance. I mean, he's the money guy. That's like, how more inside do you get with the state Republican Party? And then he's giving huge amounts of money at the same time to the governor of New York, who's a Democrat. I mean, you're inside with both parties, and yet he's trying to run a campaign as an outsider. I just think that's kind of hard to square up.
What would that be? I mean, when you think about the type of business that he has, a vending business, it probably would be pretty important to have contracts, whether it's on the thruway or, I mean, maybe the type of business, would you say?
Yeah, there's SUNY schools, there are the prisons, there's a number of places where they are.
I'm thinking for his type of business, it might be pretty essential that he does business with the state. I guess
that's okay, but but you're donating. A lot of people do business with the state and don't donate heavily to the governor either.
And he's also been called by the people that support him, somebody who was a big fundraiser for Republicans. And
right,
he
I
raised
just
a lot
mentioned
of money
that. Yeah,
for Republicans.
Certainly,
yeah.
And he's got apparently he has government contracts with the federal government, so it would be. He was supposedly like Catco's finance director. I'm not, as I said, the news accounts don't tell the whole story. He gives lots of money to both sides, but claims he's an outsider. I think he's the consummate insider. When you're giving heavily to both sides, and then he claimed on your show yesterday or a couple days ago, I give thousands and thousands to Republicans too. That's a lot of money to get. I just think that why are you doing that?
It kind of rings the same type of stuff we hear out of Donald Trump, right? Trump saying,
I just don't think there's
I gave the
right. Well, Donald and Wells is trying to say that I'm just like Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is acknowledging that he was involved in what we know as the pay-to-play world of politics, and he now denounces it, and that's part of his campaign. Steve either is claiming, well, I didn't give the donation, but I give to both sides, and he's not denouncing it and trying to run on eliminating pay-to-play schemes in politics, and that's the big difference between him. And I'm certain he probably didn't vote for Donald Trump. I know you asked him, and he dodged the question, but I'm sure he didn't vote for Donald Trump.
Well, he said, I didn't think he dodged that question. He
didn't tell you who he voted for.
Said, well, I didn't ask him who he voted for. I asked him who he will vote for. And he said he would support the nominee, which is what every Republican is saying right now. I don't want to say everyone, because John Boehner
there's some that aren't.
was pretty strong statements. If Ted Cruz is the guy, I'm not sure Boehner is going to vote for him. Okay, so back on the debate issue. How about a debate next week? 3 candidates in studio. We'll devote the whole hour. We'll work out, bring in the League of Women Voters, if you like, to ask the questions. We'll do the airtime first debate next week on WIBX.
I don't know what my schedule is, but as long as you're a neutral party, and I think your listeners will help us with that. Wherever a neutral party is, I'm happy to debate. And we do have to sit down and figure out where the 2 or 3 candidates are going to debate, though, with schedules. Obviously, I have session in Albany. I'm the one that has to actually go to Albany and do work, so the rest of them, I don't know. I know George Phillips has taken a leave of absence to solely focus on campaigning, so I have session.
Here's what I'd be willing to do is we could bring in maybe somebody from the Observer Dispatch. We could bring in somebody from TV. We could bring in League of Women Voters. I will just simply facilitate and won't even ask any questions. Make it completely something that is fair and balanced, and we do it. If we could put this together for next week. I've already gotten the okay out of Phillips. He said he'd do it at any time and asked us to actually host it. It would be up to you and Wells to be able to work out your schedule for a radio debate next week.
I'd just like to actually find out when we're going to do. I'm not going to. I think 8 debates is ridiculous. I mean, I just think it just doesn't. It's hard on my schedule and on my assembly schedule. We're running down to the end of session now. And it's very busy, but I don't think the public needs 8 debates, but I think we should have at least 2 or 3 regional debates so people in the southern tier, people in the middle of the district, and people in Oneida County can see them. Yeah. I know we're already working on a couple of other sites for debates, and I'm just not sure what the dates are. So absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
You're open to it. You won't say no about WIBX. No,
I mean
I'd
like to ensure that it's a neutral party. I think that's all I care about is a fair shot. For everyone.
Sure. Are you implying that I'm not fair?
I'm not implying that, but I think there are others that might think that. But no, you and I have a long-term relationship. We have a lot of fun. In fact, you and I usually debate every time I'm on the show. That's part of the fun.
I think we do. I think you look forward to it, to be honest. It is what it is. So I would pull myself out of it. Right now, officially, I pull myself out of it. And say I ask no questions. I'll play no role in making any decisions. We'll make it completely independent. But I would love to see it on WI. I think our listeners deserve that.
I think it'd be great to have honestly, you know me, I love debates. I can't wait to have a few of them.
All right.
I just think you get to a point. I think a lot of people would agree that, and as you indicated before, the reason that a lot of it is a debate. A tactic is to have debates, but you should always have one or two. I don't care who the incumbent is. You should at least have one or two debates. I would say, 2, 3, whatever we need to. I think 8's a little excessive. Right. I want to say one thing, too. I heard you before I came in on the show on the poll. The poll was sponsored by me, but I've used the same pollster for many years on my debates. We did very hard negatives and very neutral polling on me. Both of my opponents did polling and did not release their poll results. And they did what is called a push poll. And a push poll is trying to cast hard negatives. And I actually got one of the poll questions. And it basically completely lied about me. I mean, it just said, do you know that Claudia Tenney has voted for all of Andrew Cuomo's, bloated budgets, which is the opposite. I voted against the budgets. So, there are a lot of dishonesty in some of the polls, and I actually received one of them. I was one of the calls that was asked. Yeah. So I'm just saying the poll, no poll is 100% reliable, but this same pollster back in 2014 when Hannah had me losing like 70-30, he had it much closer, and it was interesting because he's not as as expensive.
In fairness, I don't believe that Hannah ever released the numbers.
Yes, he did. They were published in the Syracuse Post Standard. Yes, they were. Go back and look.
I do remember something was. I think something was published, but nonetheless, we both agree that anybody. I don't trust any polls that are put out by the campaigns. I'd love to see an independent.
Richard Hanna put his poll out too, and it was wrong.
And to be fair, I did say I would not be surprised, based on your name recognition, that you would be winning. So the results of that poll, even though I say I wouldn't trust a poll done by a campaign, I said I wouldn't be surprised if you were ahead at this point.
Yeah, I'm not either. I expected to be ahead, but I wasn't expecting to be as far ahead as I ended up being. And we also tested, interestingly enough, like the presidential poll. We tested hard negatives on me and a lot of different things just to find issues and see if anything's changed since 2014. But it is interesting. The presidential poll did put Trump pretty far ahead in the primary.
Well, look at him. It's crazy.
And we did it right before
take one phone call?
Go ahead. And actually, Kasich and Cruz were about the same in the poll. They were right about neck and neck.
Yeah. Here is Andrew. You still have a call? Somebody wanted to ask a question of Claudia?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, let's go with Martin. You're on with Assemblywoman Claudia Tenney, and then I got a break. Go ahead.
Hello, Claudia.
Yes.
This is Martin. I don't know if you remember me, but I was at your rally and all that stuff. But I had a person that called me. I'm a painting contractor, and he said that I mentioned something about you, and he said that he was part of the contingency that had the people that were getting fired from the state for the correctional officers. And he said he would stand behind you, and he would rally for your support. He said he would even work in your campaign.
Okay, that's great.
Andrew, knock it out the door. Claudia, I'm not there to hit the button on that one. I wish I was. Got a break, though. Again, I would turn the debate conversation over to Jeff Manaske, who I think you believe is fair. I know you don't think that I am.
Well, no, I'm not saying you're not fair, but you like to throw bombs at me. I get special treatment from you. Maybe that's why.
All right, fair enough. So I say I remove myself from it and invite you for next week, and would even be in a situation where I would agree to certain rules that might take me even out of the studio. I don't care. Let's get it for our audience.
And Bill,
let's get it on IBX.
And Bill, if I can just add, Jim Zecca's he's gonna throw bombs at you if you don't ask this question. Where are you on it? Jim has asked us for every candidate we've had out. Are you a Trump? Are you on Trump's bandwagon? Are you on Cruz? Where do you stand on the presidential? Who do you support?
Who are you voting for in the primary?
Well, first of all, I like and dislike something about all three of the Republican candidates. I identify more with the Cruz and Trump. I think I'm more of a populist like Trump, and I'm more of a constitutionalist like Cruz. But in the last analysis, although I like a lot of things Cruz stands for, I ended up voting for Trump because he's a New Yorker, and I think that if I get elected to the 22nd Congressional District and he's the president and he does what he says he's going to do, we're not sure of that. I know he's not. He has a conflicting record. I thought that that would be good for the 22nd Congressional District to have a president who's from New York and understands what we need in New York. And I attended his rally. I attended Cruz's rally as well, which was about the same time as the Kasich rally. And I got to meet with him personally. And I talked to him a little bit about the 22nd and the fact that I own a manufacturing business and that we need to do something about bringing manufacturing jobs back to New York. Whether he was very sincere and very kind to me about it and showed really that he was interested. I know he puts on a different persona on the stage, but I was very impressed with him one-on-one. I'd met him before at a SAFE Act rally, an anti-SAFE Act rally in 2013 when he was contemplating running for governor. He was quite engaging, and he answered every question I asked and said he will do whatever he can to try to help Central New York and help us bring our manufacturing base back. And we align on the trade issue. We're both, we want fair trade. We like free trade, but we want it to be fair, and we're both against TPP, and I'm well documented on the issue as the owner of a manufacturing firm. So that was the reasons that I tipped the balance in favor of Trump.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Assemblywoman Claudia Tenney, thanks so much for your time. I hope we can do this thing next week. Big debate next week. Crossing my fingers, and thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you.
All right, got a break. Cold tight. It's spring break week from Orlando. News coming up here, top of the hour. We'll give you another chance at winning our free money question of the day coming up next hour. And that's $100, $200, or $300 in cash. Always pretty excited about that. And for some reason, I don't know what it is, most of our winners seem to come out of the 6 o'clock hour. I think, I don't know, the brain is a little more keen at that point. Not sure. But let's see if we can break that trend next hour. Next hour, first thing we're going to start with is Peter Dawes. And, Verizon is on strike. We're going to talk to Peter from the picket line coming up next on WIBX.